Good afternoon everyone, and welcome to the celebration of the marriage of Peter and Rhian. I'm sure you'll all agree that after 2 very difficult years, we couldn't be in a better place or have a better reason for rejoicing and putting those years behind us than to come together at last to celebrate today with Peter and Rhian. My name is Alex, I'm a celebrant, a family celebrant, and I met Peter and Rhian in the same way they met, on the internet. They found love, and then they found me to seal the love today. In Rhian's words, they met with a little help from Tinderella. I thought that was very good. They started out messaging each other on the app, and she really wanted to meet up and kept hoping Peter would suggest it. But of course, you all know how Australian blokes like to play hard to get. So eventually it fell to Rhian to make the first move, and she suggested a walk together around the Botanic Gardens with Peter's dog, Hamish, whom she knew very quickly came as part of the package. First impressions? Well, Peter realised that Rhian was a woman who knew what she wanted. Well, obviously, she wanted him, and she got the ball rolling. And Rhian's first thoughts of Peter? That he was nice and tall, and that he was friendly, easy to talk to. In fact, so easy to talk to that a walk around the Botanic Gardens just wasn't long enough. So rather than head home, they went on to a cafe for a cup of tea and a lot more talking. And by the time she reached home, Rhian had got a message from Peter asking her out to dinner. And, okay, I'm going to use the old cliche, the rest is history. Like all strong, loving relationships, Peter's and Rhian's is built on a mutual respect, on a shared sense of humour, and on being able to learn from each other and to embrace their differences. Now, some of you may remember that old programme on British TV, if you're old enough, that is, Mr. and Mrs., when they asked couples what they thought was most annoying about each other. So let's look at Peter and Rhian, and you who know them well, I imagine you all do. Now you tell me, which one do you think complained about the television being too loud, the clothes not being tidied away, and the recycling going into the normal bin? And who do you think was unhappy about things mysteriously disappearing when they'd been put in a specific place for safekeeping? Does it really matter? No, because love doesn't care about each other's little idiosyncrasies. Love consumes us, and it makes us embrace everything about that special person. And over time, it helps us grow together to learn from each other and to become that piece of the jigsaw that completes each other's lives. Peter would describe himself as business-driven, a creative chance taker, and yet he's learnt from Rhian that life isn't all about work, but about friends, family, and of course the travel which they enjoy together. She's taught him to reshape his outlook on life and to realise that work isn't everything. And Rhian has learnt that not all Aussie blokes are blokes with man sheds, however hard neighbours may have tried to push that stereotype. In Peter, she's am I wrong? You have got a man shed. Okay. But in Peter, she's found someone who's more romantic than she is, who dresses well and doesn't mind shopping. It's all coming out now, Peter. She describes him as a visionary thinker with so much love to give, a total softie around dogs, and I think we'll all agree that you can tell a lot about a person by their relationship with their dog. A love of travel, the importance of family, and a sense of fun. These are just a few of the things that Peter and Rhian share. And a little advice to keep the romance going comes from Ogden Nash with the help of Peter's dad, James. Stand on that.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Can you hear me? Good.
Loud and clear.
Hey, Pete. I've flown halfway around the world from the land down under for 2 reasons. firstly to share this moment with you, Rhian, and others, family, but I've also come to pass on some fatherly advice, if you'll listen this time. They are words penned by the American poet Ogden Nash, advice which makes much sense. Listen carefully. To keep your marriage brimming with love in the loving cup, whenever you're wrong, admit it. Whenever you're right, shut up. Enjoy the journey, Pete and Rhian. Good to be here.
Oh, thanks, Pete.
That sounds so much better when you hear it in an Aussie accent, don't you think? Now, let's face it, marriage works when the two people working within it complement each other, not just complement each other, appreciate each other, and, tolerate each other. And I don't mean that in a negative way. There are, and there will be moments when Peter and Rhian look at each other and think, what was I thinking? And when that thought pops into their heads, they will remember this day and all that led up to it, and they will know exactly what they were thinking, because this is what is right about them. And it starts with the 3 F's: family, friendship, and fun. Family. Peter and Rhian love and appreciate their own and each other's. Peter remembers the first time he met Rhian's family and how quickly he knew he'd fit in, talking business with Richard and food with Jennifer, who shares his passion for cooking. And whilst Jennifer and Peter can produce some culinary wonders, Rhian and Richard can share their passion for doing the dishes. See what I mean about them being complementary? And Rhian remembers magical Christmases with Peter's mum Gail and his siblings on the lakes in Meetung, countless laughs with Peter's dad James, and that much missed feeling of being part of a family again, having left her own on the other side of the world. Friendship. It's very important to both of them, especially Bruce and his extended family, who Peter describes as the best group anyone could have in their lives. And of course, their own friendship. Love is important, but it's not the bedrock of a marriage. That might surprise you to know. If you're friends, if you just enjoy being together, that's what makes a marriage work through the tougher moments. And of course, fun. Fun doing things together, like travelling, wanting to explore the world whilst being able to appreciate the beautiful home they'll always come back to. Fun eating out or eating in, because when Peter's in the kitchen, the standard's probably more or less the same anyway. And fun with Hamish, who, by the way, will want a blow-by-blow account of this day when you get back, okay? And fun in the literal sense, a shared sense of humour. And here I have to get in the story, which some of you may have heard, about when Peter called a restaurant in Dubrovnik, and when they asked him to spell his name, Peter began with, "It's P for Paul." Yes, we can laugh now, but apparently he didn't even realise what he'd said until Rhian, probably in hysterics, pointed it out to him. But hey, as Peter says, you need to be silly sometimes. And so, before we get on to the important part, have a listen to this. There are so many different wedding readings, but they're not chosen as fillers. You have to listen to the words because they mean a lot to the couple who chooses them. They often define how they see themselves together. And the words of this reading really do give us an insight into how Peter and Rhian see their own love story. So I'm going to ask Rhian's mum, Jennifer, to come up and have the last word.
This is Maybe by Person Unknown. Maybe we are supposed to meet the wrong people before we meet the right one, so that when they finally arrive, we are truly grateful for the gift we have been given. Maybe it's true that we don't know what we have lost until we lose it. But it is also true that we don't know what we're missing until it arrives. Maybe the happiest of people don't have the best of everything, but make the best of everything that comes their way. Maybe the best kind of love is the kind where you sit on the sofa together, not saying a word, and walk away feeling like it was the best conversation you ever had. Maybe once in a lifetime you find someone who not only touches your heart, but also your soul. Someone who loves you for who you are and not what you could be. Maybe the art of true love is not about finding the perfect person, but about seeing an imperfect person perfectly.
Thank you.
Actually, Jennifer, permit me to have the last word and tell you that when I asked Peter and Rhian how they would describe their relationship, Peter said loving, adventurous, supportive. Rhian simply said meant to be. So now this is the important part, the marriage. You, the family and friends of Peter and Rhian, are the chosen ones, those with whom they wanted to share this celebration today and to whom they may turn to for support or advice in the coming years. Be there for them in the future as you are here for them now. Do you promise to do that? Yes. Do you promise to do that? Yes. Okay. Now, the moment has come for Peter and Rhian to affirm their commitment to each other before you, their witnesses, families and friends. Who brings Rhian to Peter today?
I do.
Right, I'm going to go a bit, put that between you if that's okay. So right. Now the moment has come for Peter and Rhian to, sorry, I've done that bit already. Doesn't matter. Do you, Rhian, promise to be a loving friend and partner in marriage, to talk and to listen, to trust and appreciate, to respect and cherish Peter? Do you promise to support, comfort and strengthen him through life's joys and sorrows? Do you promise to share your hopes and dreams as you build your lives together and to grow with Peter in mind? Will you strive to build a home that is full of respect and honour, filled with peace, happiness and love? Do you promise to always be open and honest with Peter and cherish him for as long as you both shall live?
I do. Phew.
Okay, Peter's turn. Do you, Peter, promise to be a loving friend and partner in marriage, to talk and to listen, to trust and appreciate, to respect and cherish Rhian? Do you promise to support, comfort and strengthen her through life's joys and sorrows? Do you promise to share your hopes and dreams as you build your lives together and to grow with Rhian in mind? Will you strive to build a home that is full of respect and honour, filled with peace, happiness and love? Do you promise to always be open and honest with Rhian and cherish her for as long as you both shall live?
I do.
Now, Rhian and Peter have written their own very personal and truly meaningful vows, and they've not heard them as it should be. So they're going to listen very carefully to each other, and you're going to listen very carefully to them. Let me just turn that.
Okay.
Pete, from the day we first met, it was clear we had a strong connection. We felt instantly comfortable around each other, and it seemed Hamish the dog approved too. I wasn't sure if he was the third wheel or if I was. By the time I was home from that walk, you had already asked me out to dinner. And from that moment on, you made me feel like the girl you'd been waiting for. After that first dinner date, there was a cheeky kiss. And only 3 weeks later, you told me you saw a future with me in it. A ballsy move. Could have backfired. I love the way you care for me, the way you dream of our future, the way you dote on Hamish. I'm humbled by the way you love all of me, especially through my dark moods. I love that you are a visionary while I am a realist. You are the romantic one, and you are a culinary whiz while I have a big appetite. I promise to clean up after you cook, to start and end each day with cuddles and smiles, and to fill our home with happiness and love. I promise to dance with you in times of joy and lift you up in times of sadness. I promise to rejoice with you in times of health and comfort you in times of sickness. I promise to stand beside you, be faithful and true to you, and to shower you with love and affection every joyous day for the rest of our lives.
There you go, Peter. I'm just going to turn this round so I hope it doesn't blow into you.
Rhian, from the day we first met for that walk around the gardens, Hamish knew you were special. You didn't much love dogs, but you quickly understood we were a package deal. Our worlds quickly became one with the mutual love of food, travel, and entertaining friends. It was meant to be when we agreed at best you don't cook, but handle the organisation of the house. Everything is a place, even though I can't find it. I love that you support and trust me in my wild and sometimes crazy endeavours. I love that we want to travel and create life experiences together. And most importantly, I love that you keep me balanced, making me realise that there's more to life than work. I promise I will continue to make you laugh, support you in everything you do, and be by your side for better and worse for the rest of my life.
Oh, that's lovely. That's really nice.
I don't know, is it appropriate to clap after vows? I thought they were beautiful, I really did. May I have the rings, please? This is where you all get very worried.
Especially this guy.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. I take it that's not Rhian's. That little dainty one is. Yeah. Right. Now, wedding rings have an important significance. The circle signifies eternity, completeness, a sign that your happiness and love is everlasting. And the centre is not empty. No, the centre symbolises the gateway through which you are passing together now as you begin your new life as husband and wife. May these rings remind you that marriage is not a destination, but a journey, with no beginning and no end, just a moment-to-moment opportunity to love and be loved to the best of your ability. In keeping with the vows you've made here today, you give and receive these rings, which symbolise and bind your love, loyalty, and commitment. Do you want to take Peter's ring? Take Rhian's, please. Thank you. Please repeat after me. I'll say it quietly, you say it loudly. Peter, I give you this ring as a symbol of our marriage.
Peter, I give you this ring as a symbol of our marriage.
And as a token of my love, trust and commitment.
And as a token of my love, trust and commitment.
I promise to care for you above all others.
I promise to care for you above all others.
To give you my love, friendship and support.
Give you my love, friendship and support.
And to respect and cherish you throughout our lives together.
And to respect and cherish you throughout our lives together.
Put it on this finger. It's nice and big, this one. Fits perfectly. Right. Rhian, I give you this ring as a symbol of our marriage.
Rhian, I give you this ring as a symbol of our marriage.
And as a token of my love, trust and commitment.
And a token of my love, trust and commitment.
I promise to care for you above all others.
I promise to care for you above all others.
To give you my love, friendship and support.
To give you my love, friendship and support.
And to respect and cherish you throughout our lives together.
And to respect and cherish you throughout our lives together.
Well done. All the way. Okay. You can push it in. Peter and Rhian, in front of all of us today, you have declared your love and your commitment to each other in marriage. You have made special promises to each other, which have been symbolised by the joining of hands, the taking of vows, and the giving and receiving of rings. Here, In the presence of your family and friends, I now pronounce you to be husband and wife. You can kiss her. Come on. Let's get this out of the way.
Your vows were beautiful, babe.
Thank you.
Well done. Yeah, come on.
Out of your way.
Yeah.
You're freezing. So cold.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Go and say goodbye.
All right, do you want to say?
Yes, they're beautiful.
All right, everyone, follow us.
Thanks, buddy.
leadership. Anyway, the truth is that we should be thanking them, Peter and Rhian, for carrying on this wedding 3 years after they actually stopped living in sin. How many days is it?
960?
960 days. That's amazing. Anyway, so what I wanted to say is that it's really interesting, this place. I'm glad that we are here in this particular very hall. There is quite an interesting story. For here, in this great place, Barron's Hall, a mere 502 years ago, King Henry VIII came here to party on down with the then owner, the Duke of Buckingham. Now the Duke of Buckingham, probably like Rhian and Peter, absolutely dropped an absolute bomb on this wedding, on that party. £2,500 in those days, it was about £1 million in today's money. Unsurprisingly, Squat's in there. More embarrassing. You were 500 years ago. We've got a witness. Anyway, Henry VIII was so impressed with the Duke's wealth that understandably he began to covet it. And only 2 years later, the poor Duke was then tried for treason, found guilty, beheaded, and this estate was justifiably confiscated by him. Upon its acquisition, it was then used as a convenient place for Henry VIII to pursue Anne Boleyn, who apparently lives just a couple of blocks away down at Heath Castle. So, it was through this very hall that a famously temporary romance was born, the one that changed the world forever. That is the Church of England, many wars and marital beheadings. Now, I'm not going to try and attempt some flimsy analogy between the Boleyn Tudor wedding and the Boleyn Jones wedding. But, thank God. But, when it comes to royalty, let's not forget that Peter Bold does share the name, or does share his name with the Peter Bold, which is a famously temperamental, royal-appreciating, hairless Russian cat. If you haven't looked it up, it's amazing. And in addition, I can confidently, irrefutably assert that if we were here and we were comparing the bride and Boleyn versus our bride tonight, Rhian Jones is way hotter. She actually looks like a Disney princess. Unbelievable. Anyway, I wanted to let you know that history stuff because, you know, we're here to present a little bit of history ourselves tonight. What happened to the numbers? We have wasted 7% of our lives this wedding. And that's why we're really, all of us here, so excited to finally hear from Rhian.
Wow, good job, Mills. That was great. So, is everyone still talking to their neighbour after the alternate drop? First course. got to get your head around that thing. So, can you believe we are finally here, 7% of our lives later? That's quite horrifying.
Less for some of us.
As many of you know, it's been quite the ordeal organising today. We've had a few things go wrong. There's been a hotel closed for fraud. There's been a chauffeur who sadly died. There's been a DJ who is going deaf.
Not this DJ.
Not this one, yeah. And of course, the obvious pandemic postponements. So yeah, we've had everything thrown at us, but here we finally are. And through it all, what kept us going was the dream of throwing a massive party to reunite with you all after 3 long years. So we wanted to say... The pandemic really, I think for all of us, helped us realise how important it is to spend time in person with our loved ones. So here we are. It means an awful lot to us that you are all here. So a massive thank you for coming. Okay, next page. Let me hold that for a second.
Okay.
So I needed to write this bit down because we've got guests who've flown in from all over the world. I didn't want to miss anyone. So Singapore, Mel. We've got Canada, America, Sweden, Austria, and Bulgaria. And of course, a huge shout out to our Aussie contingent. Hang on, we're getting to that bit. Maidenhead. So we've also got guests who've travelled from Scotland and Wales and from all over England. So yeah, it means the world to us, especially Maidenhead, the Maidenhead crew especially. It means the world to us to have such great friends dotted all over the globe. So thank you so much to everyone for making the trip.
Also makes our travel cheaper when we can stay at all your houses for free.
Mel knows that. Special thanks go to our bridal party and the support crew. So firstly, a very heartfelt thank you to my parents, Richard and Jenny. They've not only put up with me for all my life, but they've also taken on new jobs in preparation for this wedding. My dad has been deputy wedding planner and our man on the ground, running all over Kent, running errands and liaising with suppliers for us. So thank you very much for doing that. My mum has been chief seamstress. So she has been undoing many of the alterations that were done to my dress this week, as well as making her own very stunning outfit. It was finished at 2:30 p.m. yesterday. But I'm very, very thankful to have these two on my team. And they actually celebrated 45 years of marriage this year. So, I'd like to raise the first toast to my parents, so please be upstanding and raise your glasses to Richard and Jenny.
Richard and Jenny!
You're not supposed to stand up.
Too late.
He's stood up for himself. It's great. You got to. All right. So, a huge shout out, I think, to everybody here. It has been quite tough over the last few years, and I'm not going to mention anything of why it's been tough. I think we all know that, but I think having everyone come here today is an incredible achievement. Not only with everything that Rhian's done, but all of you just making the trek from wherever you've been and come from. Some far, doesn't matter what the distance is, but just a huge thanks to everyone for coming. It means so much to us because, as I said, I think we've been planning this thing for 3 years. We've now planned 3 weddings, I would call it. And having run probably over 2,000-3,000 weddings in my life, I never want to have my own wedding again. So
We're done.
I think, yes. So that's a big thing. But I'll be pretty brief. I want to thank my dad for flying over from Australia. It wasn't an easy thing. He did manage to catch COVID about 2 weeks before coming, so we're a bit on edge there.
Extra immunity.
Yeah, so as long as he did that. I want to thank my best man, Bruce, over there. Can't have a better mate. We met 20 years ago. He walked in the door when we were working over in Edinburgh. And he's like, "G'day, mate. Do you reckon I can get a job?" I said, "Oh, you look all right, buddy." 20 minutes later, he was employed, and yeah, we haven't looked back since then. So it's been a lot of fun. To Sam, my groomsman, another just incredible buddy. I think Sam, Tara, and I've been friends with Rhian for quite a while, and they just welcomed me openly and hearted into their house. And we get to catch up every Saturday, and I get to learn how to bet on horses and stuff like that. we still haven't won the mansion that we're looking for. We've still been trying to buy this place, but if you all want to donate tonight, we can potentially put a bid in. But to Mills for coming in and doing this. I've worked with Mills for about 4 years. I think the first time I stood next to him, I'm like, damn, you're bloody tall, mate. And he said, well, piss off then, go over there. So I've been quite tall. It's always intimidating being, but mate, for what you've already done tonight and just for everything, thank you, buddy. So. To Richard and Jennifer, I couldn't ask for more from somebody now, which I hope I'm like part of the furniture in the family. As some of you would have heard before, definitely part of the kitchen, that's for sure. Jenny and I share a passion of food and everything. If you didn't know, I used to be a chef for about 3 or 4 years, so I love food, and now probably know every Ottolenghi recipe that's going out there. So and Richard, I just get to, we have some great chats and everything like that. I really admire the man. So both of them, just amazing, and Rhian's a very lucky person to have you both in their lives. So.
Okay, so to my bridesmaids, thank you for organising the most perfect hen do. That was really great. Thanks for all the support today and for just being great mates, always. You're so great to me. So Georgie, it's really special sharing a Seven Oaks Australia connection with you. We've had so many fun times in Sydney and Melbourne, and it's so nice to have you so close by. So thank you for that. Tara, ever since I arrived in Melbourne 10 years ago, and you picked me up from the airport, you've been my rock. And you've let me stay with you for 6 weeks on arrival, and then I just moved 1 street away, and it's been a pleasure having you so close for 10 years now, a decade. And Lynn, thank you for being always a really patient, encouraging, and wise listener. And you identified Pete as a keeper. Even with hiding. You were right. So thank you for that.
It's a no-brainer, mate.
No-brainer. Thank you to my cousins Reese and Tom for taking on the illustrious role of bus captain. It's a difficult job. You've still got to get everyone back again.
This day could have gone on without it, really.
Thank you to Sophie for being our flower girl earlier today and walking so beautifully in front of us. And thank you to Jacqueline and Lisa for being our ushers. And hopefully you all made it to the ceremony, so everyone did a good job. And thank you to all of our suppliers, particularly the Penshurst Place team. I don't know if Nikki is still here, but she's been amazing. And the caterers. Basically, we asked a lot of unusual things about this wedding, and the answer was yes to pretty much everything. So we really feel like we've had a day tailored to us, and that's been incredible. So thank you to all of our suppliers for that. Okay, that's the end of the thank yous. So there is one very important person missing today who we want to acknowledge. Most of you know that we were legally married back in 2019 and that it was a rush job because Pete's wonderful mum, Gail, was terminally ill at the time. We also involved her in planning this wedding, the original one anyway. She saw pictures of Penshurst and was part of the dress choosing process, which is another reason why we couldn't quite give up on going through with today. Gail would have absolutely loved to be here with bells and whistles on, as she would have said.
I'd offer, but I can't. Sorry. Yeah.
She's left a massive hole in our lives. We miss her dearly. So we'd like to raise a toast to Gail. She's watching down on us, and she's definitely here in spirit. So, to Gail.
To Gail.
I'm going to take it from here. So that was a tough one. I just can't do it. I'm quite an emotional person, but I don't show it a lot. Sometimes behind closed doors, but yeah, it's something, yeah. But I think one of the biggest shout out I want to say to this one over here that has to put up with me for as long as we have and just been my rock and stuff like that. And we have had such an incredible journey already. I think We started challenging each other on who had been to the most countries, so they're still out running order. I'm trying to bill Deloitte for as much flights as I can to beat that, but don't worry, boss, you can sign off on the next one later. No, like, thank you so much, and yes, today means so much to us both, and yes, love you, babe. So.
I've just about got my composure back. Okay, so Pete, you've already heard this line before. You are the man of my dreams. You're tall. Requirement number one. You can cook like a top-end restaurant. And you still have your own hair.
Which would be pretty bad with my surname, Ball. I want to go the other way.
But more importantly, you seem to have the capacity to love me no matter what. So thank you for that. You're a man of so many talents. Accomplished chef, event planner extraordinaire, and actually the entire decor in this room is all Pete's doing, not mine. You're a talented entrepreneur. It turns out you're a pretty good interior designer, handyman, gardener, also hotel standard bed maker. Amazing. The list goes on. I remind myself daily how lucky I am to have found you. My life was already pretty great before we met, and it's even better now. And I know we have a really bright future ahead of us, starting with the Europe trip you've meticulously planned in a spreadsheet for our honeymoon. Thank you for everything you do for me. I love you so much, and I'm so proud to call you my husband again.
So thank you, everyone. Thank you. And please drink up like Aussies do. Yeah.
Things are going to be served, and we are going to be back very shortly. We're going to get service underway, and have a good time still. Right, good to have him back. Now, speaking of back, if you were to travel way back and you actually paid attention, I think you will find that the person who threw the first insult instead of a stone was possibly the founder of civilization. Now, it dawned on me as I was talking to Rhian about insults, or what I could get away with tonight in my briefing for this wedding. So, the question is, when you're doing a speech, whether you're the MC or some other, less significant role, what's right? What is wrong? What's funny? What is foul? It's a murky, grey and dangerous area for any speaker to walk into. Yes? And you'll go very soon. It's true that humour is just tragedy multiplied by time. But whose time frame actually counts? Following the tragedy over time law, any joke that I make now that is deemed inappropriate or offensive will actually be funny in the future. And if you understand that Australia is actually a full day ahead of the UK, that's probably about to So I ponder this question only because we're about to hear from the father of the bride. Which is a very, very tough job. I don't know if you've been to a wedding before. You may have. But you would have seen even today that the job of the father of the bride is not merely to meander down the service holding his daughter's hand and then running away. I think it's important that we properly appreciate the role of father of the bride. It's hard work. Richard, I myself have a daughter.
Too bad.
She is a redhead, and so statistically unlikely ever to be married. So for this, for me, is about as close as I will ever get. Doing a father of the bride speech. Thank you for the opportunity to. It's a proud day for me, and I'm sure it's a much prouder day for you as the father. Ladies and gentlemen, the excellent Mr. Richard Jones.
How's it going so far? How's the dinner? Good. Well, I do want to say thank you to people who've travelled such a long way coming to this event to join us today. And I don't want to say long way, not the Wales table. Right, so people have come from all over the world and from God's chosen country, Australia. Right, the role of the father of bride's speech is to do two things. Firstly, I'm supposed to find some things that none of you know about the bride and the bride's upbringing and give you stunning insight into why she is as she is. And then the second thing, and get this, I'm supposed to give them some advice as their future as a married couple. So I'm going to try to do that. Now, for those of you who know Rhian very well, and especially possibly have worked with her, you'll know she has this infinite ability to absorb lots of detail very, very fast and then turn it into spreadsheets. and actually, that's why you can have an event like this. Life is a spreadsheet, and she is weapon-grade spreadsheet. So if NATO goes to war with Russia, that's who will run it. Now, you might ask yourself, though, what was it about her upbringing that made this side of her personality come out so much? And those in the room who are already parents will probably recognize this, that the way that a young child will say, why? And I must say, the last time that Rhian did this to me was about 3 days ago. Anyway, why? And there are a couple of things. She was a very, very, very inquisitive child growing up. And there's a couple of little events that stick in my mind. One was, I suppose you'd actually say, really quite clever or, insightful. And the other one was just way out there. So the first one that I remember is Rhian was probably about 5 years old, so about Sophie's age now. And I think, actually, we just put double glazing in the house. And she and I were standing beside the window looking at all the rain coming down outside. It was really pouring down. And the first kind of fathers, I don't know how to answer that. She suddenly said, Daddy, why are houses on the outside? I mean, that's just off the scale deep. How do you deal with that? And then there was another one, I think probably at the age of about 6 or 7 years old. The company that I was then working for had sponsored the new Oxford Concise Dictionary and the Roget's Thesaurus. So I proudly brought both of these tomes home. We probably still have them at home. And one afternoon, I find Rhian sitting cross-legged on the floor, flicking through Roget's Thesaurus, which is, not many kids at that age would do that, but anyway. And I was expecting some question like, Daddy, do you know how many words for castle that there are? Right. Anyway, so Rhian is flicking through this book, through this Roget's Thesaurus, and just suddenly said, Daddy, why isn't there another word for thesaurus? So, we have grown up with this level of inquisitiveness all the time. I'm only going to go through two of these things. So the other thing is that Rhian is very, very discreet. So now, most parents will recognize this as secretive. Right, so you really don't get to know anything at all, actually, on the parent side. Now, one thing which probably I might get put in prison for telling you this, but I think that Rhian will be the only person in this room who was approved by the security services to read the Prime Minister's mail. So there you go, little gem, a little real gem. But anyway, very secretive, very difficult to get anything. And Rhian would never tell us anything about friendships, relationships. You have to, as a parent, you sort of mine into this area. And this little story is actually the introduction of how we first met Pete. So we are on one of our great Australian road trips. And it's Valentine's Day. You've got to know that. And the year might be 2017, 2018, something like that. We're sort of bombing along in this big 4x4. And what happens in our family is Rhian sits in the back, and most of the time she's on a business call. right? So you get this sort of half a conversation, right? So there's bouncing to the back of South Australia, and suddenly, there's this call going on, and all we're getting as parents is yes, no, no, yes, no, no. And then as a parent and as a driver, you're half tuning into this, only half. And then suddenly she says, yes, they do. And you think, is she talking about us? And then the next thing is, no, they don't. And so this was all setting up this Valentine's Day's evening, and we decided to go, and Peter was going to join us. And so poor Pete, honestly, so our first time to meet Pete, to meet the parents of his girlfriend, we had already chosen that we would go to the cinema to see La La Land, I think. So there we are, Pete probably wanting to make connection with us, but we're sitting in complete darkness, in a straight line, with full-on Dolby surround sound blasting out the movie to us. So, it was practically impossible. Now, Pete, to his credit, recovered this situation by taking us out afterwards for fish and chips. Now, as everybody on this table especially will know, that where I grew up, that's a proper night out, right? Yeah. So, and that's when we first got to know Pete. About a year, I don't know if it was a year later or 2 years later, suddenly, I got a message at home saying, Pete would like to speak to you. Now, as father of daughter, your mind goes, oh, Pete would like, what's that about? What's that about? And of course, sure enough, it was Pete ringing up to ask permission for today, or today minus 360 days, to happen. And, I found it a very, very difficult occasion to deal with. And probably, Pete might remember what I said, but actually I've got no memory at all of what I said. So, I sort of hope now I said something like, yes, of course. But, do you think there's a danger that I went, yeah, yeah, she's yours, or something even worse. I might have said, off the payroll at last, yes. Anyway, so, there's these lovely little sides to Rhian, so I've shared with, I'll probably pay for it later, but I've shared with you these little secrets about her. The second part of Father of Bride's speech is meant to be to give them some advice. Well, look at them. What can you do? So I turned to a friend of mine recently who went through the same thing. And I said, well, how should I approach this? And he said, well, what you do is you write down all your own faults first, and you sort of make something out of that. My family is laughing here, so somebody is supposed to say, you haven't got any faults. But actually, in my case, I've just got so many faults, there are too many to mention. Anyway, so pulling together, we've lived with them now for the last few weeks trying to make this thing happen. And so my two things would be, if you can achieve this, there's so many moving parts to have a dinner and an occasion like this. If you can achieve this, you can achieve anything. And of course, if you can survive this, you can survive anything. So ladies and gentlemen, please join me in toasting the bride and groom.
Ladies and gentlemen, dessert's going to be served, and we're going to be back with the last part of the talking. All right, see you guys soon. What's up? We're almost because Australia is so vast and so remote, we like to read out messages from family and friends who legitimately couldn't attend the wedding ceremony because of financial or geographic obstacles. So we have a few messages that have arrived in support of this particular set of nuptials this afternoon. So to read those messages, who have made it through to the finals despite this not being a competition at all. We have volunteering a woman with the most beautiful voice in the entire room. It is Scotland's own Eva Berisham.
Thank you. Hello there. My name is Eva, and for the discerning among you, I'm not Scottish. So tonight we have decided to rate the messages of love with a 3-2-1 voting system, and note for the sake of expediency, because you're going to move on to the next part of the night, we've given messages a tiny few edits. For one vote, let's begin with a lovely note from Claire and Johnny, who find a Lloyd in Australia. Hey Rhian and Pete, we would so love to be there to celebrate with you, but sadly we won't be able to this time. Have an absolutely brilliant wedding day. You deserve it after all this patience. Looking forward to seeing lots of beautiful pics, XX, that you could have taken yourselves a look at. Anyway, people, if you do have wonderful pics, please send them through to Rhian and Pete, so we can capture the best of today, just in case the professionals mug it. From friends Leora and Sophie in Melbourne. Hey guys, sorry it took a while to RSVP. We've been waiting on Sophie's dad and siblings for days to book their trip. Back to see them, and we're so hoping to coordinate with your wedding. Blah blah blah. But unfortunately, after forcing the issue with him tonight, we realised it needs to be July. Yeah. As usual, with lots of love and way too much information. Finally, a telegraph from the dearly missed Masakuni in Tokyo, which has not been edited at all. Wow. Congratulations, friends. I'm so happy for you. Unfortunately, June is the busiest time of year for me. I am waking up at 2 a.m. and hand-picking corn one by one. This last one is actually so weird, it has to be genuine. So we're giving it the full 3 votes. So thank you, Masakuni in Tokyo, and congratulations again.
Thank you so much. You actually, it's a beautiful voice and you will make a wonderful talent. All right. Had too much to drink. Excuse me. Right, now. Right, let's move on from telegrams and hear from some people who can actually be bothered to show up. I must confess, I think that tonight's speech is the one that I've been looking forward to the most. Having known the groom for 5 years now, he is in still many ways to me a riddle wrapped up in an enigma divided by a prime number. He is a man of mystery. So thankfully, here to help us peel back the layers of Peter Ball is a man single-handedly proving to the Brits that all Australians are called Bruce.
I am married to Sheila. All right, so Nicole couldn't be here, and she really wanted to just make mention. Just a couple words. So hello from Australia. Apologies that we couldn't be there with you all today. Congratulations to you both, again, on another wedding.
She was at the other one.
And we are glad this time it has finally come around, even though there's been some frustrating delays. Pete, I am so pleased that you eventually decided to settle down, and we're even happier that you have found your yin to your yang. Rhian, I just wanted to welcome you into the family, even though you've been part of it for some time now. It's only a small family, but your nephews make up for it in the noise and the mischief.
True story, yeah.
We really wish we could have been there today to celebrate again, although after our Easter trip, you could have probably understood why we're still in Melbourne. Plus, Lenny is far too busy practicing the super high kicking.
Oh, yes.
We'll get him in the kitchen on your arrival home, so getting those colouring delights. So that's good. Pete and Rhian, enjoy celebrating the night with your loved ones. We are there in spirit, along with the beautiful mum, who had comfort knowing Peter finally settled with his perfect match. And so well. Congratulations. So for me, the best man, I hate speeches. I hate standing up in front of people. So yeah, the nervousness, as you can probably tell. Good, thank you very much. All right, so I'll keep it short and sweet. So the one thing I've learnt about marriage is how much you want to share that life with a special person. No matter if you're looking for love, just recently married, or a veteran of anniversaries, the fundamental is always that same. Choose wisely, choose with your heart. Times will get tough. Tempers will flare. Though understanding why we made that choice to start with is the one thing that will keep you together. Like any adventure, it's always about the journey and how we choose to live in that moment. The people around us. When I first met Rhian and Pete, it was easy to see why the special bond between them. Both are on the same journey of life, so it's only fitting that we've all ended up here together today. Of course, a special day isn't without its special people, so I want to recognise and congratulate those that are involved. Firstly, to our beautiful bridesmaids. Thank you, ladies.
You've helped support Rhian in the lead up to this wedding and also helping her look even more beautiful today. So thank you very much.
Rhian, Sam and I are sorry. We tried to do the same, but we just couldn't. We've done everything we can. We can only work with what we've got. Unfortunately, we've done our best, but the clay shooting was great. We didn't get to do a bachelor's party, but today we went out and had a bit of fun with the boys, and it was good to see. I think we all got to enjoy that one, so thank you very much, Pete. Thank you, Sam. Over the past 20 years, I've got to know Pete. He's a man of loyalty, respect, and ambition. We've had a lot of fun along the way and had some interesting moments as well. One in which that I'll never forget.
This will be good.
One would hope. So to set the scene, we were just heading home after a big night out in Bonnie, Scotland. Here we were, two lads just trying to get ourselves home, when a scrap between two girls broke out just in front of us. Both of them were pulling each other's hair. On the ground, screaming at each other. So without thought, Pete jumped in to break up the fight. He grabbed one, I separated the other. Good plan? You expect. Well, to give some background, Pete was working as a bouncer at the time. And his good nature, he just jumped straight in to help. For me, I was too drunk to realise what was even going on. Story of our life. So I followed, I jumped in. I don't remember much after that. All I remember, there was a group of blokes around us, and I saw a big work boot collide with my face. That was lights out for me. We were on the ground rolling around, but then I saw Pete grab me by the arm and we got out of there. We made it, but it's a story I don't like to tell, and one of which I don't want to ever happen again. But it's moments like these that we'll always remember. And I know there's plenty more to come. And I'm stoked to have met you. I'm stoked that you've met your soulmate in life as well. Mate, I'm bloody honoured to be here today, and congratulations to you both. So on that, let's drink, eat, have fun, and make some good memories tonight. If you can all raise your glasses, I'd like to propose a toast. To Pete and Rhian, may you live in love and happiness and enjoy that next part of your new journey together, preferably in Noosa if you could.
We wish.
To Pete and Rhian.
Pete and Rhian.
Thanks, mate.